Thank you. Our powerful little choir. Yes. Love the enthusiasm. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Fort Myers, in person and online, where our mission is to love, grow, and serve. Or as I like to say, inspired by our bond of love, we, each one of us, commit to doing the individual spiritual work to transform ourselves, that we may actively serve others by actually embodying the 8 principles that are our covenantal community bond. A special warm welcome to each and every one of you here this morning. If this is your first time with us, no matter who you are, whatever it is that led you to be with us this morning, or wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we hope your expectations of being in a loving, supportive, and welcoming community will be fulfilled many, many, many times over. If you have not already done so, please fill out a connection card that you can get in the narthex. Sharing your contact information is the best way we have of being able to actually be here for you as you explore your spiritual path and the many facets of the UU faith tradition. For members who have knowledge of other members in need of special attention for whatever reason, please share that information on a connection card as well. It is one of the special ways we can meet the needs of those in our UUCFM family. If you have been with us for a very long time, we hope that you will be inspired and recharged with enthusiasm as we work for the greater good of this beloved community in process. My name is Gary Robbins, and I'm honored to be your worship associate once again this morning, along with a host of others, seen and unseen, who make this service possible, including our powerful little choir, which you might just consider joining by asking our wonderful music director, Jon Dalton, as well as our incredible tech team hidden in the back, Walter, Brian, Isaac, Ali, John, and Christian, who help make it possible for you to participate more thoroughly in this service here in the sanctuary, as well as those of you zooming in from your current location. And last but not least, the tech team also makes it possible for you to view past recorded services at a time of your choosing by connecting to the link found on our website. All of which is a perfect example of the theme of our service today, which focuses on the 7th principle of our UU covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Just a couple housekeeping details. During the service today, if you are on Zoom with us, please keep muted and do not chat throughout the service, but feel free in the privacy of your home, of course, to sing to your heart's delight for all of the hymns. And for those of you with us in person, please keep your phones muted while you are here in the sanctuary, which reminds me I need to do that to my own. We wish to acknowledge the rich history of the Calusa Indians on whose unceded land we currently reside, as well as the historical and the current roles of the Miccosukee and Seminoles, and all of creators from whom we have taken and occupied their land. As descendants of those who came to build a new life on this continent, we cannot right all the wrongs of the past, but we have a lot of work to do to reimagine a brand new dream of our country that is built on respect for each and every individual, as well as the UU principles we profess in our covenant, and help make them manifest for all our citizens in all the work we engage in to create an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on this planet. We are a living, spiritual, beloved community, and we are here to be open to our deepest personal selves, that we may also help transform the systems of our society to bring peace with all of the creatures and all of Creator's sacred manifestations, so that we might know true peace on earth, not only for ourselves, but for all future generations of all species. Let us now join in continuing this transformational, heart-centered wisdom quest as we begin our morning service.
Good morning. My name is Mary Cline Golbitz, and I am so honored to be here with you through the World Wide Web and our interconnection, coming to you from Georgia. So let us begin our worship with words written by Reverend Matt Alspaugh. This morning, breathe with me the breath of life. Inhale, inspire, inspiration. Spiritus, Pneuma, Holy Spirit, the many names for breath. Breathe with me and know that each breath we take in were molecules of air that were breathed by every person that ever lived. Breathe with me and breathe the breath of Jesus, of Moses, Muhammad, Buddha. Breathe with me and know that we are all interdependent, that the spirit of life flows through us all. Breathe with me as we come together to begin the holy work of interconnection and relationship. May our work be blessed, and may it be so. And as Gary lights our chalice for us today, I will read to you the words of Reverend Dr. Julia Corbett-Hemeyer. We light this flame, the bright warmth of belonging, of companionship, of interdependence. We light this flame to remind us that we belong to the earth, our sacred home, and to all her beings. We light this flame to remind us we belong to human families, biological or chosen, and to the entire human and non-human family. We light this flame to celebrate this community here gathered, to which we belong. And we light this flame in affirmation of the responsibility we share to make our communities and our world ones where all belong.
Please join in saying our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And let us now join in singing our opening hymn, number 134, Our World is One World.
Seas that wash
our story for all ages today is Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn Gardner. It's a story that may be familiar to you. I know that we have used it in the past some time ago, but it is so appropriate for our discussion of interdependence today. Think of a tree that you've had a relationship with, and let it inspire you as you hear these words. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. And people who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing. And elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much. And when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in the burrows under the roots, and squirrels and monkeys, of all things, lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. But one day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of the delicious fruit. "Ah, this fruit is incredible," he said. "I'd like to have some to sell in the next village that I visit." "Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors and sustainers." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "See, sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me. But what of others who come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight all alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes much, much more than just about you. And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and frankly a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us.
And may it be so for each of us as we begin our time of contemplation and meditation and carry the gifts of gratitude for the community that we are a part of and for this beautiful world and beautiful trees that we are a part of. Let us take a few deep breaths and enter deep into ourselves, feeling our connection with the earth and with one another. And as I read this centering, titled Reunion by Barbara Peskin, I invite you to consider how it relates to your life and who in your life it relates to. And we'll have just a moment of silence at the end of this reading. One of the old ones stood up in the morning light and spoke to those who had come back to the river. Now we have come again to this place. My life apart from you is not as strong. Yes, I have danced and I have told the stories at my own fire, and I have sung well to all 8 directions. But when I am with you, my friends, I know better who it is in me that sings. May we all recognize who we are with that makes us realize who we are. May it be so.
Indigenous people the world over have deep relationships with nature, and listening for the messages of nature are typical of their practices. Some call it a practice of prayer. This morning, you may be holding a stone, or you may pick up one from the bowls on the edge of the chancel here as we prepare for the practice of our stones of intention. We ask that you might, in your own personal fashion, infuse the stone, this little piece of our earth, with the energy and spirit of your celebrations, your joys, or your heartfelt concerns for those in your life or in the life of this congregation, or in our broader community for whom you wish to share your energy, your love, your light, compassion, intentions, prayers, or best wishes. You might choose to caress the stone to feel its temperature, its shape, or its texture. What of its long history speaks to you as you hold it in your hands or to your heart or your forehead. As we prepare to bring our stones forward, to place them with love in the receiving bowls with a candle and sand, know that they will be surrounded in community with all of the spoken and remembered wishes and intentions of the rest of the congregants. This morning, we wish to acknowledge that among our congregants, there are those who are suffering illnesses and difficulties that are very trying and tiring and painful. If you are aware of such acquaintances, please share information on a connection card so that Reverend Sue or the pastoral care team might follow up with them in appropriate ways. And where possible, we ask that you reach out to that person with a card or an email. Share your love and concern, holding them all in our loving community. Of note this week is that our beloved long-term member, Bruce Letty, died this past Monday after long struggles with very difficult health issues. He has been a significant contributor to this congregation in the many roles he has fulfilled, and we will remember him also in the nature of his very presence, his warm sense of humor and contagious smile. Our hearts reach out to Helen, who to the very end was there to care for him in all the many ways her love has been expressed to help in his time of need. Please reach out to her by card or email, not calls at this time, please, to help hold her in the love of this community as she transitions through this very difficult period of loss. And now, I place the first stone for all those with compromised health and abilities. May they be in the care of competent, attentive, and loving caregivers. And where possible, may we be courageous and supportive advocates, speaking up for their health and social well-being. And I now place the first stone. Now, please feel free to come forward for your sharing of stones and your intentions at this time. And now I will place 3 final stones for all unspoken prayers, meditations, and intentions. A stone for respect, a stone for kindness, and a stone for compassion. May each of these elements be present in all of our relations. May our prayers be heard and our hearts restored. Kindness, and compassion. We will now have a responsive reading written by Reverend Kaaren Anderson. Will be the same each time, as shown in bold when it comes after I finish the first reading. We are one, we are one, we are one, is your response. Perhaps if I could pull my senses back to the scraping squeak of the window opening that welcomes the pasture's chorus of peepers into my room, whose resonant tones glide over my bedsheet and mental haze, I'd remember to listen to my amphibian friend's primordial call. We are one, we are one, we are one. Perhaps if I could recall the rapid thrum of the 9 hummingbirds' beating wings, whipping in and out around the feeder with a thrum, 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 one cold Montana morning in May, I'd remember that my heartbeat synced with metronomic ease to their tiny thrumming cells, again calling, we are one, we are one, we are one. Perhaps if I could be real still and lay my body on the syrupy mud along the creek behind the wood, I could hear the ferns unfurl in unison, and the roots of the poplar stretch toward the spring. I'd remember that the universe sings a song to us each minute of every hour, of every day, of every year. We are one. We are one. We are one. And perhaps if I made it a priority to listen to that siren song, I'd ask the right questions and make the right statements and return to the communion of creatures of which I am a part. The truth is, we make this planet about us and only us. And when we do, the earth calls our separate selves back, singing, ask yourself, you beautiful, thoughtful, gorgeous species, how much of the planet are you really entitled to? How much of the planet are you really entitled to? And with the peepers and the hummingbirds and the ferns and the roots, we would respond, we are one. We are one. We are one.
Good morning again. It's such an honor to be with you here today. As we begin to explore the web of our connections and our interdependence with our whole world. We are one. one with the cosmos, one with nature, and one with each other. And we are one when we choose to be in a beloved community such as this. No matter who we are or how we live, we are interdependent with other humans and the non-human world. Often we don't even notice these interconnections with others. Our Western culture is so focused on our independence and individual achievements that we sometimes see or don't want to see how connected we are and supported we are in all of these achievements. It's good to be independent and to work hard to achieve an individual goal. And it's good to remember that almost nothing we do in this modern world is done without support from others in this world. Do you remember when Barack Obama told a group of business executives that they hadn't risen to their success all by themselves? He received a great deal of criticism for that statement. And that incident has stuck in my mind for years as an example of how we often don't want to recognize the world around us and how it supports us. I think his point was that employees, truck drivers, and others in those companies also contributed to the leader's success, the kind of interdependence that sometimes we ignore or don't see. Recognizing our interdependence doesn't diminish our individual accomplishments. It just recognizes that there's almost nothing we can do without support from other humans or other beings. This idea that I'm always connected to and supported by others like you is really comforting to me, makes me feel less alone. And most of us just don't live in a world where we grow our own food, produce our own energy, and so on. And the people we interact with daily, whether in person, at the grocery store, or online, are a part of our lives, whether we know them and whether we recognize this or not. Take a moment to think about your morning cup of coffee or tea or whatever you might drink in the morning. It was likely grown by a farmer in another country, pollinated by local bees, reliant on the good soil, sun, and rain there, harvested and transported by others and sold to you by still others. Even this small cup of coffee illustrates our important relationship to the World Wide Web of connections, both human and non-human. Sometimes I certainly forget my interdependence. Maybe you do too. I think the COVID pandemic illustrated how interconnected we are with all the world. Whoever thought that we would have shortages of all kinds because they came from across the world and across the country. The pandemic affected paper products, food, and everything else, and we were forced to recognize that interconnected web that joins us together. As I mentioned, we fail sometimes to recognize this interconnection for many reasons. Sometimes it's because we just don't see a lot of what goes on behind the scenes. When we buy our food, we only see the end of that chain. And if we order online, we don't really see anyone. Sometimes these connections and support are invisible. I'm able to speak with you today via Zoom and the World Wide Web because of our wonderful tech team and also all those unseen connections that I just don't know anything about, but make it possible. But sometimes our distance or invisibility makes it harder to see others. Other cultures look at interdependence a bit differently than ours. Archbishop Desmond Tutu defined the sense of our interdependence with others as the African concept of Ubuntu, which roughly translates to, I am who I am because you are. Archbishop Tutu explains that my humanity is bound up with yours. When I dehumanize you, I dehumanize myself. He says the solitary human being is a contradiction in terms. You can't be human in isolation. Whether it's live or on Zoom or on the internet, you are connected. We work for the common good in part because our humanity comes into its own in community. Unitarian Universalist minister Victoria Stafford says the question to ask ourselves is not who am I, but whose am I? Because our identity is bound up in relationships. Whose life is altered by your choices? Whose lives is your own all bound up with in obvious or invisible ways? Who we are or develop into can be dependent on the communities that we live in. When I think of you at UUCFM, I know you have supported me in many ways and influenced who I am right now today. And I know that being with you has made me more loving and more compassionate. Many of you know that we recently moved, and while things are going well, I often say, I'm trying to figure out who it is that I am in Georgia, because who I am here is subtly different than who I am there. And I know that many of you have moved to Florida or go back and forth. And moving can be hard. And I think one of the subtle reasons is that we might be slightly different depending on our community. I am because of who you are. So I invite you to just look around the sanctuary or on Zoom and think about who you might be if you just were not in this community with those around you. Whether this is your first time here, whether you are exclusively on Zoom, everyone in this community is really a part of who you are. I don't think there's any doubt, really, that who we are with sometimes affects how we manifest ourselves. Those of you who've been parents of teenagers might know the worry about who your kids are friends with, because that often influences their behaviors. And the same is true, I think, of adults. I love this true story of a Western anthropologist who'd been studying an African village. And he was preparing to leave and thought he would propose a game that he thought would be really fun for the children. He placed a basket of candies and treats under a tree, told them they should wait behind a line, and that when he said go, they should all rush over to the basket, and the first one to get there was going to win all the treats in the basket. When he said go, they all unexpectedly held each other's hands and ran off towards the tree as a group. And once there, they happily shared the candy with each other. He was very surprised and asked them why they'd gone all together, especially when one of them could have gotten all of the treats. And a young girl simply replied, "How can we be happy if all the others are sad?" As we recognize our interdependence and connection with others, maybe we can ask that same question. Can we be happy if others around us are sad? Maybe in our world, the question's a little bit more subtle. Of course, it's not our job to make others happy, but it is our job to treat them with dignity and respect, as our first Unitarian Universalist principle asks us to do. And of course, we are not required to stay in abusive or manipulative relationships to keep the other person from being sad. But as a general rule, we can be more mindful and aware of our connection with others and how they're treated really affects us in that web of connection. And from a social justice perspective, how can we be content if those we are connected with do not have food, clothing, shelter, or the basics of life? As Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The story Gary read to us is a beautiful illustration of this web of connections. The villagers respected and loved the tree, they protected it. At first, the stranger didn't recognize how they were interconnected, but eventually saw the value of this interconnection. I imagine sometimes we all forget to think about those interconnections. And of course, we are a part of nature, and we really can't exist without it. I don't really know much science, but I think I remember from elementary school how we breathe out the oxygen, that the tree breathe in the oxygen, that the trees breathe out. And of course, they use the carbon dioxide that we breathe. We are interdependent, and we're just learning about how the trees are all connected as well underneath and interdependent. So why is it important to even think about this? I think the answer is found both in the first principle I mentioned earlier, to treat others with respect and dignity, and of course, our seventh principle, that we respect the interdependent web of all existence. Unless we sometimes stop and think and notice that interconnection, we might forget it. And once we remember that interconnection, it's easier to treat others with respect and love. And I know sometimes it's difficult to treat some people with respect and love, but this is our spiritual work as Unitarian Universalists. Robin Wall Kimmerer, Indigenous author and scientist, describes reciprocity and interdependence beautifully in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. She describes how these lessons of gratitude and interconnection and reciprocal relationships weave together in a three sisters garden: corn, beans, and squash, growing all together, often the way it's grown in her Indigenous culture. Their stems interweave in what she calls a blueprint for the world, a map of balance and harmony. All the plants grow together, but allow each one to get the right amount of sun, shade, and rain it needs. In her words, the symmetry of forms belongs together. The placement of every leaf, the harmony of shapes speak this message. Respect one another, support one another, bring your gift to the world, and receive the gifts of others. When we accept our place as a strand in the web of connection, we have a moral responsibility to treat the rest of the web with reverence and respect, and to take only what we need from it. Unitarian novelist Herman Melville wrote, "We can't live only for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us, and among those fibers, our actions run as causes, and they come back to us as effects. On a daily basis, we all affect the web of existence, just as we are all affected by it." As we leave this space today, I just invite you to take a moment as you leave to recognize your interconnection, maybe with another human, maybe with a tree on the beautiful UU campus. Just notice and see if it changes your attitude towards it just for a moment. And in closing, I just want to give gratitude for each of you, for I know that I am who I am because you are. And I honor our interconnection in this web. May we all work for the common good, for we all are indeed one. May it be so.
May it be so. Amen. As we sing together, rising in body or in spirit, to sing Blue Boat Home, number 1064. Thank you, Mary, for that lovely, lovely reflection. And by our program, you now know that we want to talk about the offering. Another issue of transformation and interdependence. We transform our labor into something desired in our community, as well as financial resources for our own well-being. Then by our choices, we can help transform portions of our community by our financial contributions. And again, we are transformed by our generosity. back into the interdependent web of our existence. Well, by our affiliation with this congregation, we have made the commitment of support for the fullness of life as expressed in the incredible principles of the UUA, and for their propagation within the congregational life, and also for the promotion and adoption of their essence in our broader community life. Our principles are regenerative gifts that the world so desperately needs in this period of transition and emergence. A message of spiritual and social transformation and interdependence we must discover, uncover, share, and inculcate into the fabric of our community. A not so small task in our current broader community. One of the ways we live these spiritual values in the world is by making them real through the form of our personal financial contributions. And we are now invited to make manifest our commitment to this community and to be generous in giving support to the work of this congregation and our designated community sharing organization during this very challenging time. This month's community sharing partner is the South Fort Myers Food Pantry, a very worthy organization represented this morning by Biff Staples, president of the board, who will share with us some of the ways in which the needs of many within our community are being met through the work of 100% volunteer labor devoted to this critical service to our broader community. Biff? Let's see if this works. I don't know. There?
Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, the Unitarian Universalist Church, for allowing me on behalf of the South Fort Myers Food Pantry to speak to you today. And listening to the tenets of your faith and belief really ties into feeding the hungry, who really need support, love, encouragement, as much as food. That's part of what we do as an organization, is to help them in their needs. You have been a member of our coalition since 2010 was the beginning of when we incorporated, so you've been a loyal supporter for all these years, and we appreciate it very much. A little background, we're a 501(c) nonprofit. We're incorporated 2010. We have 17 other organizations, churches like yourself. All our volunteers are non-paid, 100% there for just the love of supporting people in need. Keeps our costs and overhead down to a minimum. And our mission is simply to feed the hungry in South Fort Myers. We support 8 zip codes, and from the north it's Colonial, to the east 41 all the way down to Estero, and the south would be Fort Myers Beach out to Sanibel. So it's a broad area that we support. Our operations were located behind the Presbyterian Church in Cypress Lake, and we operate in 2 shifts. We feed our clients every Monday, 52 weeks a year, in the mornings for 3 hours, in the afternoon for 3 hours. COVID has made it difficult, like it has for a lot of organizations. We used to be a walk-through grocery store. We'd escort our clients, but with that change of COVID, we've now a drive-through. Like a lot of the organizations, they queue through, and we can support a lot of people driving through our in their cars, and we load their cars. Very efficient. For every $1 donated, we can distribute $12 worth of food, so we can stretch that dollar a long way. A few hard statistics about hunger. 1 in 7 people in Lee County need food. It's called food insecurity, which means after they get done paying rent, transportation, health, everything else, their discretionary income barely covers enough for food, so we offset that. In 2020, 23 last year, we fed over 40,000 people. That's 13,000 families. This year, we're already ahead of that, and it's primarily we've distributed over 655,000 pounds of food to our clients. The combination of COVID, Ian, and the economy has really made it difficult in those living on the edge of poverty. We feed a broad base of people, some down on their luck, driven a lot by Ian, working poor, elderly, veterans, a lot of disabled veterans, homeless, and about 25% are children, 25% are the elderly, so we're really hitting a lot of the people that are really in need. The biggest issue we have is enough food to feed all those people. We have support through Harry Chapin and Midwest. They've been wonderful supporters. Unfortunately, their supply is based on pre-COVID numbers, so we've had to make up the difference, which is 30% or more. So we're out buying food ourselves at the retail market. We do food drives through all our coalition partners and fundraisers, but that's probably one of the biggest problems we have, most of us have, in feeding people, is enough food. So our donations come mostly from our coalition partners, which you're one of, and then individuals. And this, I'd just like to read, it's a letter from a client we received a little while ago, and as Dear Pantry, over a year ago, Hurricane Ian destroyed our home and belongings. Our family is still displaced and in rental. We had never been in a situation like this before. My husband works 2 jobs to provide. It has been a blessing having the pantry support our family. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you do and give. May God's peace be with you, each of you. Again, it touches your heart. That's what we try to do as we deal with those in need, is support them emotionally as well as giving them food. So we're blessed with the coalition partners as yourself, and who have a heart for clients we serve, and we appreciate the generosity of the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beth, for enlightening us to some of the greater details of the work that you do. And it is informative to me. I've heard figures that I've never heard before. So thank you so much, and we're very happy to be supportive of what you are doing. It's part of who we are in our community as well. As is our custom here in UUCFM, all undesignated funds in the offering today will be given to the South Fort Myers Food Pantry. You may designate a portion of your offering if you have a check or an envelope, or for those of you contributing online, please use the donate button on the website and marking it as you wish for community sharing and congregation. And those of you who know me need to just dig down in the pocket and, you know, get what little change you have and put it in the bag today. It just adds that much hassle for the money counters in the temple, but it also increases the percentage of our gift. And now, may you generously contribute to the great work of this congregation and to the South Fort Myers Food Pantry, as surely your contributions will be gratefully received.
Shall not be moved, just like a tree.
Please rise in body or spirit as we share the words of gratitude. By the work of our hands and the work of our hearts, our love is made real. May we be grateful for all that is given and grateful for all that is shared. And now, let us repeat the words that we have for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we are together again.
As we leave this space today, I invite you to remember these words of Robin Walt-Kimmerer. Respect one another, support one another, bring your gift to the world, and receive the gifts of others. May it be so.
Okay, we look forward to seeing you all next Sunday, both here on our Zoom address and on the beautiful UUCFM campus here in the sanctuary. Please share the joy you have experienced here at UUCFM with family and friends, and invite them to join us in this beloved community and all that we stand for and do. During the postlude, please greet your neighbor here in the sanctuary or electronically at home. And for those present in person, please remember that the library is open for you and for your exploration and edification, as well as our coffee hour in Hobart Hall. For those of you online, there will be an online conversation following this service with Mary Cline Golbitz. So we bid you a joyous day and farewell from the sanctuary until we can once again share in the joy of your presence. May we all be caught up in the sacred spirit of creating the world of belonging our hearts know is possible. May the light of our inner being shine brightly in our every interaction. And may the spirit of love surround you everywhere you may go. Go now in peace for all our relations. Amen.